Let's just start. You focus on making films about strong young women, and I was wondering what makes Tessa such an empowering character, in your opinion?
I think actually Tessa is really uh, empowering in that she leads with her heart a lot of the time. And I think that that is something that is kind of overlooked in fiction stories in particular, because I think that that vulnerability is something that is really brave, and you don't, Tessa doesn't necessarily make the best decisions all the time. And sometimes they're illogical and you're like frustrated, but ultimately, like, that's a really great character to examine as a young woman, right? Is like not this perfect paragon of femininity or whatever it is. Like, I think she has flaws and vulnerability, and um that's someone to kind of look up to in a lot of ways, or at least learn from.
Absolutely. That's what makes her real, like
Yeah,
someone we can relate to, right?
yeah.
And how important was it to have a female director like yourself working on such a project?
I honestly can't imagine a guy directing material like this. I mean, I think that, you have your exceptions, and certainly guys are able to have an opinion on romance and make romantic films. But I think that from the point of view of a woman, which this story is, Tessa's story, um, I think it would be really hard for a guy to do it justice. I mean, I'm sure it's possible, but I just kept thinking, wow, I don't know how that would work. And I think especially with the intimate scenes, to expect an actress to be able to be that vulnerable and put herself on display, emotionally as well as physically, I think that's asking so much of someone already. But then to have them kind of performing for a man, I don't know, I think that that would be really challenging. So I think that the relationship that I was able to build with all of the actors, but Josephine in particular, because she is the female lead, I think was really important to kind of the fabric of the film. And I tend to think that, the actors have grown along the way. They're pretty green when they started out the franchise. So maybe it's just the natural progression of time and being on set more. But I also think that, hopefully our relationship with each other has enabled them to kind of move up to the next level in terms of their talent and displaying that.
They deserve it, like they're amazing.
They are. And I will tell you this, in three, and even especially four, like their talent, everything that people have kind of expected from them before. I think everybody loves them already in the franchise, but they just are so much better than you even can imagine. They really take it to, like, they're both immensely talented, and we really get to see it in these two movies.
You're an actress yourself. In what ways did that help you while directing the movie?
I think, a lot of the things that I touched on from being a woman, like being able to empathize with them, I guess, is not just because I'm a female, but also because I've kind of been in their shoes, quite literally. I mean, not in the sense that I've ever been a global sensation, but the way that they are. But I think that, there's a lingo to it, and there's also an empathy that comes from it, and understanding what it is. I think a lot of people take for granted that actors, everybody wants to be an actor, and so it seems like the most glamorous profession. And I think the reality of it is there's a lot of challenges, there's a lot of insecurity and uncertainty, and you have to trust someone else with, you do a performance in front of the camera and they get to go edit it however they want. So it takes a lot of courage to do what they do. And I have been there, and have also, not been as courageous all the time, but I totally understand what it is. So aside from just the lingo, the emotional impact of it too. I really understand with them.
What do you hope younger audiences will take away from After We Fell?
I hope that they can see, you know, I think first and foremost that it's okay to follow your heart and to have a relationship that is not necessarily perfect. And that if you feel the passion, then it's worth it in the end. Like, even if you get hurt. I mean, obviously there's a difference between like, if it's actually, you know, harming you in some way, then that's not to be condoned. But like, you know, I think that there's a tendency for a lot of people to judge romances, and they're like, why are you in this? And it's like, well, because there might be challenges. There will be challenges if you're in a relationship, and especially the more you care about someone, the more difficult things can sometimes be. But I think, you know, Anna was so smart to create something where it's like, it's okay. And like, you can, first of all, it doesn't have to be a forever relationship, but second of all, like, if that's the person you feel you need to be with in this moment, then go for it, try it, see if you fall flat on your face. If you do, get back up. You know, I think all of that is really interesting, and I think that's kind of the magic of the story. And then I also think that, like, you know, above and beyond just the romantic side, like, there's a lot of career elements in this one that we didn't have in the previous ones, and we're seeing Tessa take on more of a role and pursue what she wants out of life. And then she kind of changes her mind at certain points, and I don't want to give away too much, but it's like, and that's okay too. You know, like, that's like, this story is very non-judgmental of characters that mess up a lot or change their minds a lot. And I think that's really cool. It, like, because it's so real. Like, we all change our minds, and we shouldn't just continue down this path just because that's what we wanted at one point.
Thank you so much for your time. I wish you much success with everything. Bye.
Thank you.